What's up, guys? I just got home. I was at school. I watched a Nintendo Direct. I was losing my mind seeing that Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 have been confirmed with a release date and a trailer. So I'm going to make this video going over the whole trailer, dissecting every little thing I can. At the start of the trailer, we have basic advertising because Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 are going to be paid. We see Chris helping up Susie and then Rouse appearing on the side. They then fade into my castle town with a Don't Forget melody playing in the background. It looks like a lot of the animations and sprites have been updated in visuals, which is always great. Right here is our first new footage. We have what looks like what could be an act minigame that has to do with shooting the enemy to spare them. There's ammo and a timer, and the visuals look really great. More new footage showing using 2 shields to block incoming projectiles. And it looks like you have lives. This doesn't look like an act, though. It looks like a minigame because the score and the lives, this looks like a sort of arcade game. I personally think this is the coolest thing ever. We have Chris, Rouse, and Susie playing a rhythm game over here. Susie is unplayable, as you can see by her area being marked off, and that's very funny. And I love how everyone looks here. The sprites look great. This short section here has so many things that need to be pointed out. One, everyone's sprites and everything around them is much darker than you've ever seen in a Dark World. It looks like they keep the colors, but they're just much darker. The brightness is much lower, the saturation is much lower to everything. And by the windows, I can only assume that this takes place in, like, the church, which would very much support the Alvin Knight theory that goes with the church Dark Fountain for Chapter 4. We can also take note of the fact that Rouse is not here, so that might mean something. With this right here, we can assume that Toby is not only making new chapters, but going back and revisiting the old chapters and updating the animations and just visuals in general, which is sweet. Right here, we have confirmation that this TV thingy, I think the name is Tenna, right? I forget. It's been a while since I delved into the Deltarune theories. But Tenna is definitely the boss of the chapter and the main villain, and we have animated cutscenes. That is interesting. We now find ourselves back in the previously mentioned Church Dark World with Chris and Susie in a chase scene down a hallway, running from what looks like dark fireballs. This is weird, to say the least. I can also point out that the pattern on this floor resembles Chris's sprite, which is interesting. For this scene right here, there's a lot to go over, so I'm not even going to like audio record. I'm just going to screen record with my audio and just go through. So as we can see, there are wing patterns right around here. I'm going to, in editing, point out what I'm thinking of. There are patterns of wings right here, and as we go through this, you can see the wings opening up into some light area in the shape of like a save point, or like the usual save points that we see. Now there's a lot more to point out here, as in everyone is in a fighting stance, so this looks like it might be a boss of sorts. Rouse, however, is bowing. Rouse's fighting stance does include his hands behind his back, so this might just be his fighting stance and not supposed to mean anything really. But one, not only is this an animated cutscene, so this further supports the fact that there might be animated cutscenes in the game. This shows the characters fighting something. Something probably very grand, as it has wings and opens up to some sort of light. And you know what else has wings and has some sort of light in the middle? The Deltarune. So this is not something we should just look over. Let's move on over to the Deltarune website. At the start, we can see 2 little towers here. I haven't actually scrolled through this myself, so I'm going to be experiencing this with y'all. Deltarune chapters 1 through 4. We have 2 little towers here, blue towers. I don't know what the code name for this is. I'm sure someone has, gotten like blank blah 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 .png and put it on Twitter. But we have the release date here, which is mentioned in the direct. We have a countdown into the release and the trailer right here. Coming to Steam, Switch 2, PS5, Switch, and PS4. The demo available, everything. Now here's an About Deltarune, which is, well, I think just stuff we know. A massive soundtrack and story written by Toby Fox. Only one devilishly difficult hidden bosses. I like that. And only one ending. This, I don't know if that was there before. But that's definitely something. I don't think this is going to be very, linear, as stated. I don't think the story is going to be very linear. That's the end? Really? Wow. We have the Spampton Sweepstakes. The Spampton Sweepstakes is just a thing where they dropped a ton of teasers and lore things that might lead into Chapter 3. I'm sure there's a ton of YouTube videos on those. I watched one myself a long time ago. I need to refresh. Deltarune status update. Deltarune status update. Deltarune status update. So that's really it to find on the website. Just one, the story is probably not linear, and there's these little towers in the background here, and the release date and platforms that the game is going to be coming out on. No Xbox, sorry. That's all I have to say about Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 and the trailer. I'm very excited for the Switch 2. I'm very excited for this. I might be replaying Deltarune, actually, in light of this. Well, mark your calendars. June 5th. Also, apparently the game is around $25, so that's a good thing to keep in mind.